next song. This is another new song off the new album that literally nobody's heard yet either. And this one, I just imagine fairies flying around the forest every time I listen to this song. And you know, this album is called Artemis. I guess I can talk briefly about the album and why it's called Artemis. Artemis is, for those of you who don't know, she's the goddess of the moon. And I've always been fascinated with the symbolism that I've found in the moon. And when I first started writing this album, I guess I should go back, my last two albums were written from places of grief. Shadow Me was written kind of drawing from the emotion of how hard it was to come out of anorexia. Brave Enough was about being brave enough to move through grief and loss and the death of my best friend, who many of you might have known, Gavi, and from the death of my dad. And so I was writing from a lot of really hard emotions. And after my dad and Gavi passed away, there was a long time where I was situationally depressed. And I just didn't feel like myself for years. And it's now been over 3 years, so it's almost been 4 years. And for about, at least 2 years, I had kind of come to accept that, you know what, I think that loss changes you. And I don't think I'll ever be the same. I think that a piece of me, that like rose-tinted glasses version, this bright version of myself, like, I think she is gone. I think she died with them. However, right about the time as I was preparing to start to write this new album, I felt like myself return. And it was this awakening moment of like, oh my gosh, she's not gone. She didn't die with anyone. She was just covered up. She was sad. And that's why I like the symbolism of the moon so much. Sorry, I get emotional, but the moon goes in phases. And it goes through cycles. And sometimes it's big and bright and it's beautiful and it will literally light up the entire night sky. And then sometimes it's completely covered up, or it's a sliver. And then sometimes it's so dark that if you didn't know better, you would probably think that it didn't exist anymore and it was gone. But just like the moon and just like me, I realized that no, I wasn't gone. I was just covered in shadow for a time. And as I kept working on myself and kept striving to be the best version of myself and be optimistic and go to therapy and do all these things that are healthy for myself, I found that I did come back to full light again, just like the moon. And so that's kind of just because, you know, we all go through time periods or things in our life that make us feel a little bit darker than other times. But don't ever forget that just because you're going through something hard doesn't mean that you're not still powerful. You're not still bright and beautiful and brave and full of joy. And maybe you just need to wait a little bit or fight a little harder to reveal that side of yourself and have her or him come to full light again. And also I love that the moon brings light to darkness. So even in the dark times of our life, we can find hope. And that's, you know, in a way, I guess, I feel like every single one of us is Artemis. And so this song, originally it was called Luna's Lullaby, because I felt like it was a lullaby from the moon to us. And like I said, you can close your eyes and imagine little fairies flying around. But then I decided to call it Between Twilight, because it's almost like the little stars twinkling that you sometimes, if you stare right at them, you can't see them, but they're still there. These twinkling little stars. So. Yeah, you just close your eyes as I play this song. Yeah, it feels at peace.